6 months ago, I decided to not only start writing a book, but to document the entire process here. I ended up calling it the Let's Make a Book Baby series. I've heard from a lot of people that they really wonder what it's like to write and publish a book. I'm a self-published author. I'm LGBTQ plus and disabled, so I have different living circumstances than some people might have, so please don't use this as a comparison. Use it more as inspiration that it is possible to do. And also that you're not alone in these processes. Doing a long-term project has ups and downs. It has big frustrations, especially the more you care about it, and I really cared about this, so I ran into a lot of frustrations. I learned a lot. I deleted entire characters. I put Marcus's perspective in the book, so it wasn't even a singular perspective anymore. So much has happened in just 6 months, and we're not even close to being done with it, so let's get into it. So the past 6 months, I've discovered what this book is actually about compared to what I thought it was about when I first started. The book baby, it now has a title. It is titled Shadow King Omega. There are three main pieces to it that I think are the most important. So first of all, the two of them are just absolutely clueless that they're in love. Instead of like having the whole time be the will they won't they, the second element is that they are childhood best friends. They have an intimate understanding of how the other person works, and even when they have miscommunications or misunderstandings, they talk about it the whole time. They're not like enemies or jumping to like crazy conclusions and hating each other for no reason, but like at the same time they still have to do the work to solve it. And the third element is that they are also werewolves. So they do werewolfy things. It's kind of spicy. They have elements of their lives that matter more because they're werewolfy. For example, Ari has a chronic illness, but it revolves around his werewolf heats. It's also very queer. So Ari is a trans guy, Marcus is a cis guy, but he has a gender fluid wolf form. So his wolf form, since this is an Omegaverse book, is sometimes an omega, sometimes a beta, and or an alpha. It started off with an idea that I had for a while and I put off. I did not have to start from scratch with this book, which was very different than what I'm used to with other books. And that is because one of the main characters, his parents, I already wrote a whole series of this werewolfy lore, so I knew the type of community that he had. I knew how he was born, which is cute. I haven't had that with any of my characters, so I feel like he really just came to life, and that meant that he also took charge of my book without my permission and changed things, because I was like, wait a second, I know that you've been through X, Y, and Z, so you actually wouldn't do this when I put you in this scene, you'd do something else. So it was a lot of that, and the key element to this was that originally Marcus I was going to write as the love interest, and it was going to just be Ari's perspective, but I very quickly realized that Marcus was actually central to a lot of these situations, and he just completely drove the plot forward in a way that I really, really love. They have been childhood best friends for 26 years now, and so that's a lot of denial and reasons why they waited, but that also means that they have this very close-knit understanding of one another. I had so much fun with that because it's so sweet. Like, it's something that I think I would want in my relationships, where they're hearing what the other person's saying and maybe it doesn't come out perfectly and it could sting even, but they're not taking it personally because they like come into every conflict together being like, we're gonna work this out, and they have a lot of love for each other. They just don't realize it's romantic, so it's very cute. I had so much fun with it, and the fact that they are werewolves makes it 10 times more fun for me. So I spend a lot of time not feeling well enough to do many things, but that also leaves me time in my bed to think and write that if you're doing a 9 to 5 job, you might not have time to do. That being said, I did also do some part-time jobs during this, so I feel like for me, I might say, oh, it took me a longer time, but that's because I'm used to just sitting down and just speed writing my books and like uncontrollably just having to write. I didn't feel like that happened this time. I more had to sit with it, sit with these characters and understand them better. Like, ironically, that's where the characters were at too. They had to sit in this and unpack what they had already known about each other other to relearn, like, okay, if we actually want to be in a romantic relationship, it's gonna look really different and it might be kind of weird at first. So the fact that I already knew Ari and his parents and his community really made the beginning process different for me. I think in some ways made it easier because I already understood all the inner workings of the world around them and knew how to explain the universe to new readers. Since I had done sequels in this whole series, I also knew how to both cater to new readers while also previous readers who might already understand this universe. Like, it's not going to feel like such a drag. It'll be more of like, oh, here's a reminder of what this world is like. And it's all interwoven within their story, so it's not like the central focus. The lore isn't the central focus. It's about their relationship and how they're going to make this work. And unfortunately, I had to restart the book 2 months in. So that was our first biggest drama of writing this, and something that I would only normally experience alone. But I was surprised how many people could relate to this when this happened. And at first I was so daunted and so upset, but it ended up being really great because I think it brought more of you on board to be like, hey, that's like something that happens to me, which then gave me energy to be like, okay, I can keep going. This is something that we maybe go through as artists, and especially for such an extended long form project. When it's so extensive, it's not just like, oh, you just get it done and then put it out in the world. You have to do all the steps of the process, and a lot of those steps individually take a really long time. So at that crucial moment, I was like, I need to bring Marcus in. It was originally going to be just Ari's perspective, but Marcus, he increased the stakes because we would see each of their perspectives and their own individual misunderstandings about the situation, but how much love they had for each other within the misunderstandings that it just makes it so much sweeter. The book turned out to be a lot cozier than I think I'm used to. The characters do have a history of trauma or chronic illness or mental health conditions that have led them to experience trauma, because that's something that I write in every book. I like to write trauma survivors who are now finding love, and then like they're worthy of love, and they're also going on their own internal journeys while supporting each other emotionally, and it's fun. I love writing like sweet but very like raw and real types of characters. Having Marcus and his history and his perspective and his absolute like utter love for Ari, he is totally taken by him. That just added so much to the book, like so much life to it, that it really started to feel suddenly real for me. I think that his perspective carries throughout the book some of the most exciting parts for me, whereas like I was originally like, oh my god, I just want to only write Ari's perspective, like he has so much to say, but it was actually that Marcus kind of brought out some of Ari's like inner thoughts and that I wasn't expecting, so I was like, okay, I love this. They both were doing that to each other. They're like learning about themselves through being together, and it's a very fun time. When I write my romances, I don't want it to just be like, oh, they have all this terrible fighting, and then like it doesn't feel fun for me to write like that. It is fun to read, like, oh my god, like will they work together, but I always feel like at the end of the story I get disappointed for my own characters if it feels like, are they gonna last like a day after this book ends? Like, I don't know. So what I like to do is have them come together towards the beginning or middle of the book, and then have to figure out how to be in a relationship with one another, because I think that that's super interesting, like that type of relationship psychology between people and trying to figure out how they fit into each other's lives. That's what this book covers. There is very dark and deep lore beneath it, as classic with my types of books, but we're not going to get that into this book because I also thought this was only going to be one book, and with the addition of Marcus and just seeing that they also needed to take their time, I was like, oh, they're gonna need more than one book. So this is now book one of a series. So Shadow King Omega as book one is like the introduction to their story and what's going on for them, the foundations of how they're coming together with their romantic and sexual relationship, because it is very spicy. Being a werewolf book, I feel like that kind of comes with the territory for adult books, but this one, it's like a slow burn that just like kind of blasts all of a sudden, and I love that. like the payoff is necessary after we're like, oh my god, these two just, we love them, but they're clueless. They get there. But it's like fun to see them work through this and undo some of their misunderstandings that some of them have lasted like over a decade. So I started to get way more excited about this, but I think about 4 months in, I hit another roadblock. So maybe 2 months is like a weird thing for me. I'm learning about myself too and how I write. I got a little bit stuck where I got stuck into more of an OCD type of cycle because I have OCD, and when I really care about something, OCD latches on because it's trying to avoid doing whatever I am afraid of. And the more I care about something, the more those types of fears come into play and seem like a bad thing. So then if I give that any energy, then it will just like keep piling on and start to increase those types of OCD symptoms. So I have to do all of my tools and what I've learned in treatment, and book writing has really helped push me to face that. For this book in particular, what I was noticing was that I was still concerned about what other people were thinking. So very crucial part of this is that I was documenting it here with you, and that's not something that I am used to. It's usually a very private internal process of writing a book, and I wanted to do this because I knew that I was having these fears of being like, well, what are people gonna think, and like completely ignoring the fact that some people might love it. But like, even if they didn't, if I love the book, that's what matters, and that will show through my writing, and that's what I want to be focusing on. These types of things I don't agree with. Like, it does not align with my values to worry about what people are thinking and change the book based on that. That is like part of OCD and that's what's so frustrating about that it like kind of swoops in and tries to hinder me, and that's what it feels like. So I really had to work with it. Some of it, I feel like the characters brought that out in a good way because they can relate to different aspects of that, and I think that that's what I really like. Like, I feel like I am going through their journey with them and growing as a person every single time I write a book. So that's definitely been happening. I think I finally, only after these like almost to the 6 month mark, got past that section where I just was like, no, like I need to take this out, or like, wait, that was good, I need to put it back in, and just like going back and forth and back and forth. And I was like, oh my god, I can't handle my own behavior. I just wanted to sit down and have fun writing the book. I got myself finally out of that cycle. I'm very like this close to finishing the book. Now we're starting to dive into marketing. I drew the cover. The cover reveal is on June 1st, so be prepared for that. But in the next video, I am teasing it and showing you how I create mock-ups of my books, where, see, this is not the final version, but when I have the final cover, I stick it onto the test copy of the book in order to see what it would look like and take pictures and see if I need to adjust the colors. Yeah, I drew the whole thing on Twitch. Part of it I had to stop and be like, I really need to just lock in and do this for myself, fix the colors and do all the finalizing details, because I just noticed that I just was still in that mindset of being harsh on myself, and I don't want that. So I got past that and I finished the cover, and I'm starting to do some special edition stuff. That is going to be for next week's announcements and updates. I'm super excited about it. Overall, I did want to say having you here with me and hearing your thoughts has been very fun. Like, going through the process, also just being like, oh hey, every Tuesday we ended up starting doing a writing stream on my Twitch channel, and some of you would come from here and go visit me on Twitch, and we would write together, or like tell me every once in a while when you stop in how it's going, and I start hearing about your projects that you're doing. We could start to update each other, be like, how is it going? And I think that's so much fun because writing can be kind of an isolating type of thing, but it turns out that we have a lot of the same struggles and the same processes where we get stuck or where we have a great time with it or something. So it's fun to share in that. Thanks for being here to help make that happen. I think that the next 6 months will be probably way more exciting for you to see, because it might be part of the process that maybe you have never done before if you've never published a book. And if you have published a book, my process is going to be different anyway, because every single self-published author does it a little bit differently since we are our own publishers. I'm excited to show you because because I just changed my publishing pipeline and it feels a lot healthier this time around for me with how I'm conserving my energy and using my energy and making it happen. I hope that you're having a good day or night wherever you are, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.